Bree Butterfly, the Tattooist by Nanny Linda. Beverly, a little white butterfly, was fluttering around by the stream. She was feeling rather down in the mouth and felt that she needed a cosmetic preen. She flitted over plants and shrubs and perched on the tip of a fern and let out the deepest, most sorrowful sigh, and her stomach started to churn. She had been asked out on a date with Bracken, who was also a butterfly of white, and she wanted to feel and be at her best, but was nervous about their date tonight. Just then, a beautiful purple butterfly came flying down from a branch on the tree, and she was singing and oh so happy, and Beverly thought, why can't that be me? Bree landed in the same patch of ferns as Beverly and said, I haven't seen you before. Do you live around here then, or just passing through, out on a woodland explore? And why are you looking so glum? Bree asked. It's such a beautiful day. Well, Beverly replied, I'm very anxious about a date that I have later, and she started to fly away. Don't go, Bree shouted. Maybe I can help. Why don't you come back to my home for a while? So Beverly agreed, and they flew over the stream to a stone wall beside a wooden stile. Goodness, Beverly said as she looked around, what are all those pictures and those bottles of ink? Oh, Bree replied, this is my studio. I'm a tattooist. Would you like a cold drink? No thanks, said Beverly, but what I would like is for you to colour my wings with one of your beautiful designs. The colours are all so bright and amazing, and the artwork is so creative and refined. So Beverly chose a design and Bree got to work, and by the late afternoon, Beverly was happy and jolly, and she was now singing a merry tune. She flitted off to her date with Bracken, feeling confident and light, and they had a wonderful evening together, and she was complimented on her new tattoo all night. Beverly told Bracken all about Bree the purple butterfly tattooist, and by the end of the week, Bree had many new clients to add to her growing appointment list. One morning while she was working, adding some colour to the black spots on Adonis the ladybird, there was a tap on her studio door, and excited croaks could be heard. And there, hopping around, full of the joys of spring, were two little frogs arm in arm. We are in love and want tattoos, they said. Bertie B recommended you from the hive at Honeywell Farm. So when Bree had finished tattooing Adonis, she prepared to start on one of the frogs, whose names were Regina and Mingo, and they both lived down by the river in the dead logs. It took Bree a while with the tattooing, as the frogs' legs were slippery and slimy, but eventually they each had a red heart on their arm and went away happy, leaving Bree feeling quite mucky and grimy. Polly and Percy Pigeon each wanted two eyes tattooed on their rump, to deter Sydney the sparrowhawk, to confuse the grasping little chump. The carp fish that live in the farm fish pond wanted Bree to tattoo them to look like stones, pebbles and rocks, to stop Hendrix the heron hunting them, and also Frida the fox. Gabriella, the ginger farm cat, contacted Bree wanting a sleeve tattoo. She also wanted her hair dye green, so Bree suggested a spinach bath with a recipe of what to do. Word spread so fast around and about that Bree became so busy and never liked to refuse or decline, so she decided that she needed an assistant, so she advertised on the local grapevine. A young hawk moth named Orlando was travelling through the wood when he heard of a tattooist being required, so he went and called upon Bree Butterfly, and immediately he was hired. Orlando had been travelling the world during the past couple of years, and he was a talented artist, and this would be a very suitable career. Bree's business was blooming and expanding, and all creatures great and small came knocking on her door. Yesterday she tattooed Clooney the shire horse and his wife Hermione the day before. Phoenix the proud peacock, who lived at Honeywell Farm and strutted all over the land, wanted a tattoo on his foot which read, I love me, and Bree giggled so much she struggled to keep a steady hand. Over the years, Bree had certainly had some strange requests, like the time a camel named Chloe called to her door, wanting a tattoo which read, "You give me the hump," as she didn't like her owner, Bertram Moore. Then there was the time that Cicely Snake slithered in, wanting a false rattle tattooed on her tail, all because she had an American cousin who was a rattlesnake called Ishmael. All of Bree's clients always went away happy, which filled her with satisfaction and delight. And now Orlando was doing such amazing work, Bree could reduce her hours and have a little evening flight. Bree had never felt the need to tattoo herself, as she was such a beautiful butterfly with exquisite and extraordinary markings. But for special occasions she would add streamers and bells, which Orlando thought was absolutely charming. So as time went by, Bree became involved in bridal and party wear accessories, creating some very unusual themes for weddings, birthdays and anniversaries. And throughout it all, her client list for tattoos increased, and she opened up another studio at Honeywell Farm, high up in the top of the barn, and employed another tattooist to help with the workflow. Aura, a little orange butterfly, came to join the barn tattooing team, and she was assisted by an apprentice, a little brown moth named Reem. And Bree would flutter between the two studios, from the barn to the stone wall, taking on any new clients when she received a message or a call. She very soon became admired and renowned throughout the land for her works of tattooing art and her graceful little hand. One day, while Bree was out roaming, she found a large, comfortable space in the top of a very tall tree, which had the loveliest of views up and down the valley and out towards the sea. And when she needed to be alone and be in a quiet space, she would flutter to the treetop to relax in her own private and secluded place. And there Bree laid her little eggs in privacy in the top of this very high tree, and she checked in on them constantly, watching them change from larva to pupa and then to butterflies ready to fly to their destiny. One day, when Bree was tattooing a client in the studio in the wall, Orlando called out to her that a butterfly had come to call. He introduced himself as Brandon, and he was a purple butterfly, and he wanted to be a tattooist, so could he give it a try? Bree asked him to sit and wait while she continued with her work. Then Orlando called out to her that another purple butterfly had called, and that his name was Kirk. And then Orlando shouted that another purple butterfly was waiting at the door, and then another behind that one, until there were purple butterflies of 4. Brandon and Kirk and Letitia and Rochelle all sat patiently waiting to see the talented tattooist Bree, all feeling an affinity with tattooing, not realizing that they were all family. Bree instinctively knew at once, though, that they were all her kin, and she welcomed them with open arms and warmly invited them in. So they were all hired immediately to start training the very next day, and Bree told them that they were her offspring, and they were so delighted that they didn't know what to say. What an amazing day, they all agreed. It simply was the best, and especially because their loving mum was Bree Butterfly, the tattooist.